As the conflict between Israel and Gaza continues to claim lives, foreign powers have been weighing in, attempting to secure aid and chart a course to peace. In the last week, Western attempts at diplomacy have seen President Biden visit Israel and hold calls with Benjamin Netanyahu, Rishi Sunak, and other European leaders. Western countries have called for Israel to respect humanitarian law, demanded Hamas release hostages, and pushed for aid for Gaza. But they are far from the only players in the conflict. So, who are the central powers involved, and what do they have to say? Egypt was the first Arab country to establish diplomatic relations with Israel in 1979. Despite public support for Palestine, Egypt has for years helped to enforce Israel's blockade of Gaza. But, according to senior officials, relations have now reached a boiling point. As the only country other than Israel to share a border with Gaza, Egypt have been under pressure from the US to take in refugees. But President el-Sisi has made it clear that they will not accept mass resettlement, saying that it will destroy the Palestinian cause and destabilize the region. Jordan, which borders Israel and the West Bank, has also come down against Israel. After years of fighting, the two signed a peace treaty in 1994. But this week, King Abdullah called Israel's bombardment of Gaza a war crime. Jordan had planned a summit between Arab leaders and Joe Biden, but this was cancelled after the Gaza hospital blast, with the Jordanian foreign minister stating that there was no use in talking now about anything except stopping the war. Like Egypt, however, Jordan has refused to accept refugees. When Palestinians were forced out in 1948, hundreds of thousands fled to Jordan, never to return. And whilst there's widespread support for the cause, King Abdullah said the situation has to be handled within Gaza and the West Bank, and that it can't be carried out on the shoulders of others. Qatar has also been in the headlines, forging a diplomatic role through its deep ties with Hamas. A mother and daughter from Chicago, held hostage in Gaza, were released after Qatar brokered negotiations. A spokesman said that they hoped mediation will lead to the release of all civilian hostages from every nationality. As Hamas's main regional backer, Iran has long played a key role in the conflict. Its foreign minister has come out with a clear message. Either Israel stops its strikes, or Iran will be forced to take action. Much of Iran's role has been in controlling and coordinating what its supreme leader calls its axis of resistance. Not only does Iran have links to Hamas in Gaza, it also acts through proxy militias in Syria, Yemen, and Iraq, and Hezbollah, the Shiite militant group in Lebanon. Though Iran hasn't overtly taken military action, Israel has accused them of deploying new weapons through Syria to create a second front. And it's clear that they've given their blessing to Hezbollah to carry out limited cross-border raids on Israeli military targets. Syria, where Iran has military presence, has already seen clashes with Israel. Following the Hamas attack, Syria fired artillery into Israeli territory, and Israel fired back. Israeli missiles hit Damascus and Aleppo international airports, forcing them to shut and killing 2 workers. But it's in Lebanon that military action has really ramped up. Technically at war, Lebanon and Israel have no diplomatic relations. Last week, at rallies held near the US Embassy in Beirut, protesters expressed anger at what they consider Washington's backing of Israel. Though Lebanon's current prime minister has cautioned against a war with Israel, Hezbollah, Lebanon's strongest political and military force, has said they are fully ready to fight. Their attacks on Israeli targets have already resulted in dozens of deaths. But for Palestinian refugees, Lebanon is also not a safe haven. The country is already home to over 200,000 Palestinian refugees. Most live in refugee camps and are barred from owning property, accessing formal education, or holding certain jobs. Western countries have so far had little success in securing aid and gaining the release of hostages. In a conflict where tensions continue to rise, it's Israel's neighbours who will play the key role in the future of Palestine and its people.